Howdy folks, I've got something new in from Vevor today. Where else would it come from? Yeah, oh, we love the Vevor stuff. This is a power pack, and I'm really glad they sent this over to me because it turned out in the last couple of days I've been doing some testing on it. This thing is more interesting than I thought. Look at this thing. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like about the size of a car battery, but it produces 300 watts of AC power. So you can, plug some fairly hefty stuff in there and run it. It seems to fall in the middle of the road, but the last few weeks, this has been on sale. And I gotta show you the features. This thing is really very cool. Yeah, a little power pack that can run 300 watts. Actually has two outlets, so you could say be charging a power tool on a charging system, or you could have a light plugged into the other outlet. So you have two outlets at 300 watts. Now that's a total, excuse me, of 300 watts. But there's way more here. Oh yeah, it can be charged off the house, which would be, okay. And it can be charged from the car. So you can plug it, they give you a little cigarette lighter plug type thing that you can plug in and plug into this, and you can be charging from the car or wherever. If you're going to a job site, camping, RVing, hiking, whatever you're doing, you've got portable power. Maybe if you're in a tent or something even and you want some lights at night or radio or something playing, even you can plug into this and run it. So there's a lot of little applications like that, but the thing that really caught me was this can be charged from a solar panel that's 125 watts and or more at 12 volts. And yesterday, I will take you out here shortly to the solar package, but yesterday we decided we would throw the solar package that I have at it, and we would go on the controller side of the solar package, which was not shown in any of the diagrams with Vevor, and it did a wonderful job. It charged it up, but it also allowed me to run things at AC from my small solar package, and it was like, this is getting interesting, more interesting. And it has a digital readout. I'm going to close up here to show you some of the digital readout on this thing, because it's, like I said, this thing is more features and way more cool than I realized when they shipped it over to me. We got this in about a week ago, and I've been torturing and experimenting with it, and it's like, this thing is doing really well. So let's take a look at some of these, the digital features of this readout here. It gives you a lot of information, which if you're even messing with one solar panel, this thing here can provide a lot of information and provide power. Okay, personally my biggest excitement was the fact that you can charge this from a solar package, which I thought was really cool, but we'll turn it on or we'll power it up, and I'll show you this. The very first thing you're going to see is how much is in the pack. Of course, I've got it charged at 100%. Now, because it's digital, it can't go over 99 hours or whatever of service time or feed right now. So right now it's showing the maximum it can show, which is 99 hours. Obviously, if it had 3 digits, it would show probably 999 hours or something available. But there's also some really interesting functions here. And I'm going to come over here to the voltage that's going out right now, which of course is 0. There is nothing being used on the system. It'll also charge, and you'll notice we've got the USB-C up here. It also has the regular USBs that that we're all familiar with. And here's the input that can come off the car, or in this case come from solar, can be plugged into here, and directly from a solar panel, like I said, that's 125 watts, you can charge this. And each of these items can be turned on and off with these little buttons here. So in other words, let's see if we can get this, the AC, for example, if you want to power it up again, I let it sit and idle for a bit. We can turn the AC on, and it'll show the AC is on, but there's no watts going out. And it measures the wattage, which is really cool for me, because I can look off my solar package and look at this, and it'll give me a full readout of what's going on with as much power as I'm using, also how much is coming in from the solar package, and how much time I have on something. So I'm going to grab a big box fan, and we'll plug it in, and the big box fan should last for, I don't know, an hour, 4 hours, I don't know, we'll find out. It should be about 300 watt hours, I think, rating on this. So an 80 watt or something, it'll do the math for us, and it'll show us, how much power we're going to be using. I'll shut the AC back off, and we'll get that box fan in here, and let's check that out. All right. It's going to be a bit noisy, but I'll use my software to remove the sound of the fan running right now. But it shows that the fan will run on this right now for 4 hours. And it also shows me that I'm drawing 80 watts of power on the AC unit right now. This is just the beginning. If I plug the solar package into this here and start charging, that number is going to change because I'm drawing power from the system, from the solar, and still producing AC power that I can be using in my shop. In this case, 300 watts, which is, you know, a cooling fan or a light or whatever. Like I said, I'm going to use my software, so I will cut the fan noise out. Otherwise, this fan is really noisy right now because it's running full blast. It's at, you know, top speed. But this was what really caught my interest, was all the information coming up on this little screen here. It tells me a lot about what was going on with my solar package. And I thought, this is a really cool power pack. And you can have power anywhere you want, of course, with something like this. But granted, okay, the fan's going to run 4 hours, not 8 hours. If you're on a job site or something, even 4 hours before you even recharge it or something. Wow, you know, cool. All right, so I've unplugged the fan, obviously, and it's gone back up to, you know, 99 hours available for power. Hope so. We didn't run it too long. But the information digitally on here really was fascinating with the solar package, because you can see what's happening with your solar. And if you're remote or something and you take one solar panel with you that's 125 watts plus this little power pack, you can produce power over and over again, or you can keep something running for a very long time. If I tie it to the solar, this fan can probably run, I guess, all day. It'll run all day long. My package, and this is what caught my interest, was the 125 watts is kind of like the minimum at 12 volt power coming in from a solar panel. And my system right now should be producing somewhere around 260 watts, but it's at 12 volts. So it's sort of like, it doesn't matter. You know, as long as it's 12 volts and it's above 125 watts, it's gonna fully charge the power pack. And at the same time, you can be running AC power. We're gonna go out to the shop where I'm set up with the solar, and we'll plug all this in, and I'll show you that we're also we're going to provide some charge to another power pack, run a fan, and we're going to take a look at our situation with the solar. Now, the weather today, always Mother Nature. It's dark, heavy, overcast. It's been spitting rain almost a little bit this morning, so it's like it's a really bad day for solar. But I have plenty of power for, at 260 watts, even if it's reduced, I'll still have plenty of power to charge this, run the fan, and maybe a light or something else. But let's take a look at all the information coming in from the solar. Using this power pack, I'm getting a lot of interesting info to me that I didn't know about off of this. Yeah, so we're out in the barn with our power pack from Vevor, and this is what I'm talking about. I've got the fan set up, blowing away from me. Hopefully the noise won't be too bad, because I really don't like using voice isolation software, because it sort of makes me sound a little weird too, not just the fan thing. But we'll power up, and we'll start up, and we'll run the fan. And again, these switches will turn these outlets on and off. Also, before I forget, there is a light on this side which will also do SOS flash, and it'll also do like a flashlight type steady light thing. So the power pack has some amazing features. This is what really caught me, was I'm going to run the fan, and then I'm going to plug the solar package in, and you're going to see the hours change. So we'll start the AC up. Fan is starting up. Hopefully that's not too loud. I don't know, we'll see. Like I said, I've got it pointed away from us, so we're drawing the 80 watts of power, and then we're good for, like, you know, 4 hours. This plug here is off my solar, and it's cigarette lighter plugged into an outlet over here off my solar package, so that I can run 12 volt things off of here. So I'm going to plug the solar in, and we're now still running off the battery package, but now the solar is going to take over. Yeah, so let's see, we've got 14 volts coming in, and as you can see, the solar package is starting to pick up. So now we're at 6 hours, 8 hours to run the fan, 9 hours. Interesting information, because this is something I didn't have before. So this little power pack is actually doing some really crazy things. And look at the hours now. We're at 10, 11 hours. And what's happening is we're maintaining the battery at 100%. We're running 80 watts, in this case, a nice cooling fan on a hot summer day if we had that. It's kind of on the middle of the road day today here in Texas. And you can see the hours is still climbing. The solar is producing more power than I'm using, so I'm charging the battery plus running the fan. And I just thought, that's pretty cool. And I went even further with it. We've got another power pack here from another company, and they use a USB to charge, so I'll plug theirs in. There we go. And I'll turn the USB on. Now, the other thing too is the information. When I turn the USB on, the information from the USB now comes on here and shows that I'm charging another power pack or another system, or it could be a laptop, could be your cell phone, whatever. But I've turned the USB on with the button here, and now I can see what's happening. I am still, you know, still good. I've still got power. Plus I have 150 watts of power on this outlet and 300 over here. So in AC terms, I have 3 outlets, so I can plug 3 different things in besides the fan. I can also plug in a big strong light. I'll plug this in for a second because this is a 100 watt LED, so it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of powerful, but yeah, it's, let's see if we can get her plugged in, and we'll turn the power pack on. Yeah. That's a little bright, so let's shut that off. Let's see if we can shut her off. And even when I'm doing that, you can see the hours is changing to show me how many hours I have or how much I could keep going. Look at this right now. We're back up to 99 hours. Oh, okay, it's dropping. This will adjust really rapidly, so it gets a little bit confusing, but now I unplug that. It's a stiff plug. But that's just the start of it. You've got lights, power, you can, you know, recharge things, and it's totally portable. But also, like I say, with a solar package here, this information here is really, at this point, it's really interesting because I'm experimenting with my first couple of panels on my barn here to see, just I put lights and some power out here in the barn without wiring off the house. And eventually, of course, at some point, I'll actually produce enough power in the barn here that I will be producing or providing power over to the house at some time in the future. I need more panels, I need a bigger controller, you know, yada yada. Oh, and some batteries. I don't have any batteries right now on the system here, so technically this is the only battery per se that I have on the system. And you can see the solar package has picked it up. It's a really bad day today for this because it's so gray and overcast, but you know what? That's okay too, because that was something I wanted to talk about with when we get to solar, or if we get more into solar at some point. Even a gray overcast day can produce a decent amount of power off of panels. You're going to need a certain amount of panels, of course, to produce power. You know, one panel is not going to cut it, but you also have voltage loss and a lot of other things that go on with solar, so it can get kind of crazy. But this little power pack is it's just fascinating to see all the things that are going on. And I've got a fan running that's good for 10 hours right now or more. As you can see, it's going to adjust up and down depending on how much power is coming in from the solar, which is variable right now. It's the package is, the solar package is having a little trouble because it is a gray overcast day, but it is showing 14 volts coming off the panels right now. And that's the next thing I want to talk about was the voltage. Yesterday it spiked and went up over 16 volts. I was kind of concerned, but it didn't seem to matter. This thing here continued to charge up regardless. As long as it was above 12 volts, the package here continued to charge up. So that was like, it was a win, you know, and it seems like it's stable enough to do it. I also loaded this thing up with 300 watts, and that's what it's rated for, and I was surprised. It was able to run the 300 watt light. And in fact, let's plug a 300 watt system in here and just see. We don't have enough solar to keep up, so we will lose. So these hours will drop down, but we'll you know, let's find out how much drop we're going to have, kind of thing. So there, I'm going to unplug the box fan, and I've got, let's see, I've got to find it. Here we are. Yeah. And this is going to be really bright. This is 300 watts of LED. Yeah, so it's a big 300 watt LED commercial lighting system. But we'll plug it in, and there, wow, she's on. And we'll see how much. Obviously we're not going to have 99 hours of service time now, but it will adjust itself to it, and theoretically it should be good for 1 hour. But because the solar's, there it is, yeah, 1 hour at 305 watts actually. But what an interesting device. It's sort of like having a voltmeter, an amp meter, everything all built into one, plus a solar package that, you know, can be checked on, and you can measure everything with a power pack like this. And the other cool thing was, it's a power pack that's fairly light and fairly portable, so you could take it with you, charge it off the car or something like that, or off the house if that's what you want to do. But at 300 watts, we're good for an hour. My solar panels are only, like I said, on a nice sunny day would be 260 watts. So the panels can't even produce enough power to keep up with this. And somebody's car alarm is going off out there. Oh, they fixed it already. Okay, good. What a neighborhood. So we're good for an hour. It's basically, we could say this is rated for 300 watt hour. That's what it's good for. But that's plenty of power. When you see with your charging, you can supplement that. You know, let's see how the battery's doing. The battery is still showing 97% full or something. So we are coming off the battery a little bit at a time. The solar can't keep up at all. And in fact, like I say, it's a really bad day. So that was like, it was kind of cool, because it was like, okay, it's a bad day, but let's take a look and see what's going on. And this is what it tells me. Now, if I look at my solar package right now, yeah, it's dropped to about 13 volts. So it's really marginally down right now, as it is dark, and it is kind of like, you know, almost rain kind of thing going on here right now. If the sun comes out, we would still make it, but we would still be losing 40 watts per hour or whatever. So this would actually indicate that up here once we see what's happening. And it stabilizes. It seems to read out and then stabilize itself. But also, you have these little readouts at the bottom to show you what's on, what's off. I'm going to shut the power pack off that's over here on the USB and unplug it. So now we're only on 300 watts. Let's see if it changes at all. Okay, it's 303 right now. It'll probably, maybe it'll flatline at 302. See, the wattage is actually dropping down a little bit, because I'm no longer charging this other power pack system that I have out here. The cool thing is, the barn is not hooked up. It's not wired to the house at all, and I have things, power, whatever. If I want some really strong light, I've got really strong light out here. I also have this LED light. This is just another one of those things you pick up at like a yard sale for a couple bucks, and you're like, oh, okay, it might come in handy at some point. I need, you know, extra light somewhere. But the Vevor power pack has really surprised me. It is far more interesting, and it has some more interesting features, and just being able to read out and charge off of solar kind of excites me a little bit. The idea that I can make AC out here and I don't need anything from the house. In fact, I can run an extension cord from here over to my patio or something, put that box fan out there and have a fan blowing on me, keeping me cool while I'm on my laptop or something, and I'm not using the energy from the house at all. And I can even charge up off the laptop if I want to. I can charge the laptop too as well while I'm at it. But what a cool item. It was on sale. I don't know if I should give the price out or not. I will have a link provided in the course of the description below where you can find this puppy. But the sale price was pretty interesting, so you might want to check on it. The sale price was, should I say it? It was $149. Yeah, it's regularly a lot more money than that. These power packs don't come cheap because you've got those lithium-ion batteries and everything else in there, but you also have a lot of electronics. But overall, the Vevor system is sort of middle of the road. There are bigger power packs than this out there right now that are, you know, get really expensive, and there's some cheaper ones out here, which is like this guy right here is a little bit cheaper in price. But the fascinating thing for me was this whole control package of being able to turn these outlets on and off, USB on and off. There's a light here on the side, which has 3 different brightnesses. Also sets it up so it'll flash, and also does there we go, the SOS thing with the, you know, 2 and 3. Now let's see if I can shut it off, because that's always a tricky. Oh, there we go. Okay, shut off. And it's just light and portable enough that you could take it anywhere you want, and you could power stuff up. How cool is this thing, huh? Yeah. And that will unplug the. There we go. We'll unplug the light. Are you there now? Can you see me still? Rub our eyes. And you can see right now we're jumping up. We now have technically 86 hours. But it also shows some information here that's really cool. Is right here. As it what? Okay. There's now it's still charging the battery, but there's now we got 30 hours. It flips back and forth, but it shows you there's no, you know, how much is drawing, if there is any draw, which obviously there's nothing plugged in now. But it shows you, it gives you an idea as to how many hours is on the battery, and you can see the battery charging up from the solar package. And the solar is having trouble today. Like I said, it's like a really, this is a dark day out here, so it's really not a great day to be trying to do something off of solar, but we're getting there. And this is charging up. I can leave this on the solar and it will fully charge, and it'll just take care of itself. It'll bottom out. Now, there's one other interesting thing here, and I'll get my glasses here if I can see it, but also there's input. And the input right now is at 74 watts. It's kind of dropping and jumping up and down. Again, that's showing me what's coming in from the solar according to voltage, which I can look at my controller. My controller just dropped to 12 something volts because, like I said, it's, you know, it's not a good day to be doing this, but that's the reason I'm doing it. So I thought that's pretty kind of cool. And you can see the wattage here right now is coming in from the solar package for charging this thing up is around 45 watts. Eventually, and this is where people get confused with solar, this will get to zero. There'll be nothing coming in, and you'll think, oh, my solar's not working. Well, it is working. The battery's full. There's no place for that electricity to go, so there's nothing to measure. So it'll say, well, zero input, because, you know, nothing's coming in at this point because the pack is full. If you had more batteries, I could see it getting really confusing for someone who's new to solar. They could get into something like this, and I could see them getting, you know, really confused over what's happening. Right now, the battery time is like slowly, it'll work up and down. It's coming up and adjusting according to the watts coming in. Boom, we're back in the shop. It's pretty exciting finding this little guy. This is something unexpected, I guess, and it was like, when it came in even, I thought it was a power pack, yeah, okay, whatever. But when I found out all the crazy things I could do with it and the readout and all the information off of it, I was like, man, not only do we have to check this thing out, but we got to share this with the viewers, because this thing is really cool. I'll provide a link in the description below for this. Also provide a link in the description for where you can find that cigarette lighter plug that I'm using, that I plug this into the solar system to charge it, of course. Also have a 100 amp terminal block system on there. I'll provide you a link on that too. It's part of my wiring system for my solar. The controller I can't recommend. It's a piece of junk. I'm just using it for the time being until we can get something, get some more money together for the solar. It also needs some more panels, of course, to pump up the power, what have you. But just the idea of being able to take this portably with that much power, 300 watts anywhere, that will do. 300 watts will get you by on a lot of things. I even have a small refrigerator here. It will run it, you know, so, you know, stuff like that. Now, a full-size refrigerator would be a dead no. It's, you know, there's not enough power there for that. But even in a case situation like lights go out, it's emergency, brownout, blackout, you know, you know what happens these days. Again, you'd have at least some kind of power backup that's not a generator, it's not noisy, and it'll produce, you know, a fair amount of power, and it can be recharged 3 different ways, which is, again, I thought that was pretty fascinating. Man, I can't thank Vevor enough for sending this crazy thing over to me, because I have really enjoyed it, and it's really fascinating to watch it running off the solar system that I have in the barn. Thank you so much for watching Coffee and Tools. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the notice bell. I'm going to close out because this is getting long, and I don't usually like to run this long, but thank you to everyone for viewing, and we will see you Thursday with some more cool stuff. Yeah. Over and out.